This school coming to fruition is a seed that God planted in me when I was about 15. Yeah, my mother had started attending this church in the south suburbs of Chicago. Inside the church, in one of the main hallways, they had a map of the world. And I was always excited by what they did in Africa. And I just remember being 15, 16 years old thinking, God, one day I want to do that, right? One day I want to go over to Africa. One day I want to open up a school. And then when I graduated with my undergrad degree, I told my husband I want to go to Africa. Like that was going to be my trip that I wanted to take was to Africa, and I wasn't able to at the time. And then when I moved here to Texas and started teaching as a certified teacher, I found out about a program called Teach Abroad. All these countries were looking for American teachers to come over to teach English as a second language. And then I met Brother Steve, and that's when he shared his desire to go over to do the Clean Water Initiative in Zimbabwe. And he had gone, and I told him, I was like, Brother Stevie, I really want to go with you the next time you go over there. And sure enough, God made the way.
I wanted to comment on the Rise Up Academy initiative that's in Zimbabwe, being done by the Holcombs, Greg and Tamika, and it's such a great initiative that they're doing. And how it came to pass was truly divine.
Praise God, Jesus.
The ministry of Preacherhead was geared to go to Africa to create water boreholes in the community there where it was needed. They then decided to come over to assist us in that process. But prior to that, she and I had talked about the gifts from God that were given to her. And she prayed and asked God to show her how to use the gifts that she had been given as it pertains to educating and teaching children outside of her immediate comfort zone.
And what I realized is even though God planted that seed in me about 35 years ago of going over to Africa and opening up a school, he has spent the last 20 years cultivating me working with children, and about the last 12 years cultivating me as a certified teacher. And so here I sit on the cusp of 50, a wife, a mother of 7, a grandmother of 2. And I'm literally saying, okay, Lord, if you call, I'll go. And I truly feel called to go over to Africa, to Zimbabwe specifically, to open up an elementary school.
The need is great. Despite the country's high literacy rate, Zimbabwe faces severe economic challenges, which limits many children's access to a quality education. Only 1 out of 4 children outside of urban areas start primary education by the age of 6. Those who do attend school face severe shortages of materials, limited teaching staff, leading to overcrowded classrooms and limited nutritional meals. On top of these challenges, many children have to walk several miles each day, often in complete darkness, in order to get the bare minimum of an educational experience. Rise Christian Academy is committed to help change these harsh conditions.
We have a gentleman in Zimbabwe who's donating land. We have an organization that's donating a building. And so we're just coming over there to get started. So we're going to use what we have, and we're going to find some local people to build us benches and tables. The goal is for us to buy computers and reading material and take resources over there. And we're going to start with that 60 students that have never attended school, and we're going to provide them 2 meals a day. We're going to provide them with an academic day where they're going to get reading, writing, math, STEM, all of those great things. We're going to provide them with PE, and we're going to provide them with spiritual enlightenment through Bible study, because we are a faith-based organization. So that's how we're going to get started. But while we're doing that with your donations, we're going to start building out our Learning Institute. And our Learning Institute will be able to provide us with individual classrooms for each grade level, from early childhood all the way up to second grade.
There is great demand for better educational opportunities in the countryside. When told that a new school was in the works, villagers walked from miles around and packed the local church. Parents shared emotional stories about the challenges of providing quality education for their families and anxiously await the opening of the new school.
Your donations will allow us to build houses for the staff, because the community that we're serving is about 30 miles from the local city. So that's about a 30 to 45-minute drive. So for our teachers that start with us, they'll have to take a pretty long bus ride to get to us. And so what happens in a lot of the rural farming communities is you will build a house for your staff to live there, to make it easier for them to do what they need to do, which is educate our children.
They then, without consulting anyone else, after consulting God, put forth the initiative to assemble a team and a group of like-minded people who some are on the Preach Ed Ministries team, thank God. And we went to build boreholes and at the same time lay the groundwork and foundation for the Rise Academy in Zimbabwe, which right now looks like it's going to be a grand divine success.
We're already ready to get started. We just need partners to come along and help us financially take this vision and really cause it to flourish. And so right now we're looking at a budget of about $250,000. $250,000 will help us build all the buildings to get started, including the teachers' houses, feed the children, and pay our staff. And what we know is providing a high quality education, that is a great leveling tool. It's a great leveling tool regardless of where you live, because it gives you the tools that you need to go out and be a productive member of society. It gives you the tools you need to be self-sufficient. It gives you the tools you need to become that next great doctor, architect, lawyer, farmer, engineer, whatever it is, because we know that God has divinely created us with a vision, with a purpose. It's inside of each one of us. He tells us he knew the plans he had for us even before we were born. And as I started with, at 15, he deposited a seed in me that he enlightened me with at 15. I don't think that I was smart enough to know that one day I was going to go to Africa and really do what I thought I wanted to do at 15. I know that that was the Creator. He placed that seed in me, and ever so often he would go back and he would kind of dig around and cultivate and say, okay, don't forget, at the appointed time, you've got a job to do. And so now is that time.